All right, good morning, everyone. I want to call this meeting to order. It is October 18th, and this is the Finance Administration Committee and a special meeting of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District. So with that, let's we have a quorum. If General Manager E.J. Caldwell could do a roll call, please.
Happy to do that, Mr. Chairman. Director Harold Williams. Here. Chairman Scott Houston.
Here.
Director Gloria Gray.
Here.
Director Don Deere. Director Desi Alvarez. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, any public comment?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any requests for public comment for today's meeting, so this meeting is being held in person and if there's anybody that would like to make public comment that is attending virtually, please indicate so by raising your virtual hand. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any requests for public comment.
Great, thank you. So let's see, item 4 is presentation. Do we have any?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do not have any official presentations, though we do have 2 new members of the West Basin staff here for the Finance and Administration Committee. Bonnie Kung is our newest administrative assistant. She has over 8 years of experience providing administrative support, a bachelor's in English from UCLA, and a master's of education and school counseling from the University of Southern California, USC. And so we have Bonnie in the back of the room.
Hi, Bonnie, welcome.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah.
And then we also have Carla Huget, our newest executive assistant. She's a communications major with multi-industry experience in executive and administrative support. She's currently pursuing a business analysis certificate with UCLA Extension School. And she is a newest member of our staff starting just this week. So Carla.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome to you both. We look forward to getting to know you better and glad to have you on board here at West Basin.
And that includes the introduction.
Thank you. Let's move to our action calendar, item 5A, approval of minutes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item 5A, approval of our minutes. We do have one set, I believe, the September 25th, 2023. And for this presentation, we have Desiree Quintero, our Manager of Administration.
Good afternoon, President Houston, committee and board members. The minutes for the West Basin Municipal Water District Board of Directors. Meetings are an integral part of the public meeting process. This presentation begins on packet page 3. Minutes provide a history of the actions taken at board meetings, which is informative not only for members of the public, but for other stakeholders as well. The minutes for the September 25th regular board meeting have been attached for your consideration and can be found beginning on packet page 5. With that, I will go ahead and read the recommendation. The recommendation is that staff recommends that the board approve the September 25th, 2023 regular board meeting minutes.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Desiree. Any questions? Director Williams.
No, thank you. I would move approval or move it on to the board, full board.
Okay. Great. Director Gray, any questions? Okay. Go ahead. I would concur with Director Williams that these look good to proceed for approval by the board. So move that on. Thank you, Desiree. All right, next item 5B is in boy, approve a sponsorship for fiscal year 23-24 community outreach event. EJ.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Item 5B will be presented by Haza Vasquez, our Deputy Board Secretary 2.
Thank you, EJ. Good morning, President Houston, members of the committee and board. If I can turn your attention to packet page 10, where item 5B begins. Today I have one item for your consideration. Director Gray requests consideration for West Basin to sponsor the Heads Up Foundation's Undercover Heroes annual gala event that is scheduled to be held on Saturday, November 11th, 2023. At this time, Director Gray is requesting a $3,000 sponsorship, and this sponsorship would grant West Basin a speaking opportunity for a district representative, as well as an advertisement promoting district values. I did want to point out that West Basin did previously sponsor this event in fiscal year 22-23 in the amount of $2,500. Additional information regarding the sponsorship request can be found in attachment A, and that begins on packet page 12. If I turn your attention to the lower part of packet page 10 to go over the fiscal impact, funds for this sponsorship are included in the fiscal year 23-24 community outreach budget in a total amount of $75,000. If this sponsorship, if the sponsorship in the amount of $3,000 is approved, that would leave a remaining budget of $37,700. And with that, I'd like to read the recommendation. Director Gray requests that the board consider approving sponsorship of the Heads Up Foundation Undercover Heroes Annual Gala event scheduled to be held on Saturday, November 11th, 2023, in the amount of $3,000. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you. Is any questions, Director Williams?
No questions.
Director Gray, if you hear us, do you have any questions or comments on this one? I hear her not, so let's move along.
No, I don't.
so-
Thank you. I don't.
There you are, Director Gray. Okay, no questions, no comments? Okay, we'll
No,
continue.
no, thank you.
So we'll go forward. So I concur with Director Williams that we should move this forward with recommendation yes to the full board. So thank you for that one. Okay, 5C as in CAP fiscal year 23-24 district sponsorship request. EJ.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Again, for this presentation, we have Hazel Vasquez, our Deputy Board Secretary.
Hello again. If I could turn your attention now to packet page 19. So I also have just one item for your consideration today for a district sponsorship, and this one is a little ahead of the curve as this event isn't scheduled until March 2024. However, just to get more bang for our buck, so to speak, we are bringing it forward to you now. So the district has received a sponsorship request for the 2024 Water Reuse Annual Symposium this year, or next year, I should say. This is being held in Denver on March 11th through March 14th, 2024. At this time, we do not have a sponsorship amount that we are recommending. However, last year in fiscal year 22-23, we did participate as sponsors at the advocate level in the amount of $2,500. So this year, there are a few options for us to pick from, beginning at the winner's circle level, which is $15,000, down to the lowest level, which is advocate, also at $2,500, similar to last year. So if I turn your attention to packet page 21, where the sponsorship packet begins that was provided by Water Reuse Symposium, specifically, if I can turn your attention to packet page 24, this is where the benefits associated with each sponsorship are shown. There are a few that include complimentary registrations, advertisements, things of that sort. And then if you move on to the following pages, 25, 26, those also show more details regarding those sponsorship levels. So going over the fiscal impact for this, back on packet page 19, funds for the requested sponsorship are included in the fiscal year 23-24 sponsorship budget in a total amount of $55,000. At this time, we do have a remaining balance of $35,800. So if you so choose to sponsor this event, whatever amount you choose to sponsor at will be deducted from the $35,800. So with that, I'd like to read the recommendation on packet page 20. Staff recommends that the board consider approving sponsorship of the 2024 Water Reuse Annual Symposium event scheduled to be held from Monday, March 11, 2024 through Thursday, March 14, 2024. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Hazel. So any questions, Director Williams, or thoughts?
Comment.
Go ahead.
You know, this is something we cannot afford not to support, right? So I would to support whatever staff believes that would be a good amount for us to support.
I think when you look at it, you know, you would want to go above the advocate, which gets you into the innovator, the $5,000. We typically have staff that attends this conference. And in fact, coming up, we have staff presenting at their conference. So
Just conference?
the Water Reuse.
Water Reuse California.
Correct. So if you want, we can take a look at it and see how many staff members would likely attend. And with that, we could actually recommend based off of the number of attendees that we get, because a lot of times they provide, and I noticed that if you scroll down here, it does come with complimentary registrations, which I think provides West Basin the greatest value when we can utilize those.
So you're asking, you're going to come back with the.
We could bring that to the board. I could identify how many staff members plan to attend, and then we can make our best recommendation to you based off of the number of discount or complimentary registrations. I can see right here that the visionary $7,500 gets you two. There's an opportunity, obviously, for staff to attend that. Check with the board of directors to see who attends. I know that we do have some staff or directors that have attended in the past.
No, I would agree that what we could do is just forward it to the board with no recommendation from here. You all could come back and give us maybe a better idea. And also, even in that visionary, you get two complimentary, but also two discount. So, I mean, it helps out 4 potential registrations. I know it is early, so I don't know who all is going to go yet, but I think that's a great idea. Director Williams.
I think I'm going to put that on my calendar as well. I haven't been in a while.
Well, let's do this. So Director Gray, any questions on this item?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I would just concur. Why don't we just send it to the board, no recommendation, but you all have some more information for us to make a better decision.
No problem. I'll check with staff to see who's available to attend, who would like to.
Go from there.
I also just wanted to kind of bring to your attention, just so that you can see some of the benefits associated on packet page 29. This lists the various activations given the sponsorship level. So if you look there we go. Advocate sponsor, which is the lowest one at 2,500, which is what we've sponsored in the past, really does only give us that complimentary registration, which is just the one, and then lists us as a sponsor. However, if we were to move up to the next one up, which is the $5,000, if you see there under the list of innovator sponsored, those are the various activations that we could take advantage of. So we could be sponsors of an offsite tour, workshop, branded water bottle, literature distribution, or speaker ready room, which may be a better, of higher value for the district. So just wanted to point that out as well.
And even that, the innovator, is that what you just mentioned?
Right, that's the next one up, the $5,000.
You have one complimentary registration, but then these are the other parts that go with it.
Correct.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, so I think we made a decision.
Yes.
So we'll just send it, no recommendation, and we'll talk about it at a board meeting. DJ, sounds good. All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to our information calendar, 6A, fiscal year 22-23 small and local business and local report.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For this presentation, we have Colette Ayala, our contracts administrator.
Thank you, EJ. Good morning, Chairman Houston and members of the Community Board. I'm happy to present on item 6A, which begins on packet page 31. As it states here, the district maintains a small and local business enterprise program with the aim to reduce barriers and expand business opportunities for small and local firms participating in the district solicitation process. The policy currently sets a 10% annual target participation goal for all eligible expenditures and requires staff to present an annual report to the Board of Directors to detail the effectiveness of the program. I would now like to turn your attention to attachment A, starting on page 33 of the agenda packet. This is the small and local business annual report presentation for fiscal year 2022-2023. So to start, I will go over the definitions of small business enterprise and local business enterprise as they appear in our admin code. To be considered a small business or SBE, the vendor must have a certification from a California agency. And to be considered a local business or LBE, the vendor must have a business license showing the business is based either in the district service area or within 25 miles of the district headquarters. As previously mentioned, the district sets a 10% annual target participation goal for all eligible expenditures in Admin Code Section 5-2.109. Eligible expenditures encompass expenditures that can be competed and therefore exclude portable water charges, debt services, permits, employee reimbursement, travel, sponsorships, memberships, and regulated utilities. And here you can see the incentives the district awards to small and local businesses. Proposals for professional and non-professional services are evaluated on a 100-point scale. Up to 7 additional points may be added to evaluation scores for small and local participants. 3 points for small businesses, 3 points for local businesses, and 1 if they team up with a small or local sub. Quotations for goods may have the total cost of the quote reduced by up to 7% for small or local businesses, 3% for small, 3% for local, and 1% for businesses that are teaming up with smaller local subs. Please note that this reduction is only for the evaluation purposes, and the contract is for the full quoted amount. And now we will look at the number of small and local vendors used in fiscal year 22-23. As you can see, we have over 1,300 eligible vendors in our financial system, and we added 204 new eligible vendors in fiscal year 22-23. Of the eligible vendors, 588 are local and 103 are small, with the addition of 67 new local vendors and 33 new small vendors last fiscal year. And almost half of the new vendors that we added were small or local vendors. And the number of small and local vendors used each year has remained relatively consistent over the past 5 years, aside from a jump in FY 19-20. And then in FY 22-23, we used 150 small and local vendors in total. And on this slide, you can see the breakdown of small businesses by account. Of the 29 small vendors we used, 24% were for professional services, 21% for capital projects, and 17% for office administration. And then this next slide highlights the breakdown of local businesses by account. Of the 121 local vendors used, 20% were for professional services, 19% for office administration, and 18% for repairs and maintenance. So here you can see the geocoded local businesses. The I believe it's black, yeah, the black outline shows the district service area, and the blue outline shows the 25-mile radius from district's headquarters in Carson. Each dot you see represents a local business used in FY 22-23, and the reddish areas depict a high concentration of local businesses used by the district. So you can kind of see the dispersion of the local businesses that we used last year. And with that, we will continue to the FY 22-23 small and local spend. Last fiscal year, the district spent $62.9 million on eligible expenditures. Of that, $12.5 million, or 20%, went to small and local businesses. This surpasses the 10% annual target participation goal. As you can see, the district's small and local spend increased from FY 21-22 to FY 22-23. Then this chart highlights the percent spent for small and local businesses by account. The blue bars show the total district spent per account, while the black line highlights the small and local spend percentage for each account. As you can see, over 98% of the money spent on non-professional services went to small and local businesses, as did 94% of lab analysis and 60% of office administration went to small and local businesses. While only 7% of the money spent on repairs and maintenance went to small and local businesses, repairs and maintenance did account for 19% of the total number of local businesses used. So of the 121 local businesses we used last year, 22 of them did fall under the repairs and maintenance category. And then this graph shows the top 5 small and local vendors by total spend. Our number 1 vendor is Jones Chemicals, which is a local business, followed by Boudier, a small business used for capital improvement projects, and Univar USA, a local chemical company. We have AKM Consulting, a small business also used for capital improvement projects, and finally Hazen & Sawyer, a local business used for capital improvement projects. And I would like to end this presentation with our FY 23-24 action plan. So we aim to review the small and local policy and increase the target spend along with working towards creating a process to capture small and local subcontractor spend, to boost our outreach efforts through partnerships, and consider policy changes to encourage greater participation. So our bullet points 1 and 4 of our action plan are more policy driven, and we do plan on bringing these items back to the board for consideration in 2024. So then that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. I'll start with Director Williams. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Nothing?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could add a comment, I don't know if we can go back to that last slide. One thing I wanted to note that the boost outreach efforts to increase small and local spend by engaging vendors through partnerships and events. I just want to point out in a recent engineering operations committee meeting, we had provided the committee and the board information related to the number of bids that we've been receiving. And in one case, I don't believe that we received any or we received one. And staff, I just want to highlight, was listening in on that committee meeting. And by the time I had the opportunity to make it to my desk, an email was already initiated to begin really attacking this issue about signing up vendors on our system and really doing a great deal of outreach. And since that time, which was approximately 2 months ago, I think we've signed on or volunteered to attend every opportunity we could to any of these outreach events. We have a couple of them coming up in partnership with the City of Los Angeles. And of course, as far as employees go, BizFed has an outreach event. But we've been actually traveling all throughout the Metropolitan Water District service area to attend these events. And I wanted to say thank you to our staff because it really was a staff-driven exercise of saying, this is what we're doing. This is what we can do in the short term, and this is what we can do in the long term, and really prepare a strategy to get our outreach out there to the point where we're getting a lot of people engaging with West Basin and bidding on our programs and projects. So I want to say thank you very much to our staff. And of course, this is a collective effort. I've had the opportunity to attend a couple of the group meetings, and we have staff members from all of our different departments meeting to discuss this. So we're taking this very seriously. And I know that you'll see the fruits of the labor over the coming months and of course into the future years. So thank you very much to staff for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Anything else, Director Williams, on that or no?
No, thank you.
Director Gray, did you have any questions or comments? So I just want to say too, I mean, thank you very much to staff, everyone who's been involved, because you know that this has been a part of the board for a long time. I know that, I also know that we also have to be very realistic with ourselves. We're we're a small agency in the big scheme of things. There are certain projects where, there's only so many players that even would be able to do the work. So on the one side of it, there's that challenge, but on the other side, for a number of our other procurement needs, you all have done your best to go above and beyond and bring more people into the fold, make sure they're aware of West Basin. So I just want to reiterate from my perspective, I understand the realisticness of these types of vendors and projects that would even apply to what we're doing. So you can work your tail off to a degree and you may not get beyond a certain point, right? I mean, I'm just being very realistic. And I see that we're hitting between 20% right now, down to 16. It was up at 30% at one point, but, so I think we're being realistic on expectations, EJ, and I just want you all to understand from my perspective, you can work all you want, but you may not, you just may hit a ceiling. So, so please continue doing what you're doing. Now, the other thing I do find really interesting, and I think there's got to be a way that we continue to toot our horn on this is, the small spending, I mean, 20% going into our region. In our case, what, $12.5 million last year? I mean, that is significant money that is staying, quote unquote, local. So I'm not sure how we parlay that at some point in the future, EJ, but I think that that's something we should make sure we talk about. You probably put it in our annual report, I'm assuming you do. But obviously not everyone reads the annual report. But I think it's something that down the road, when you're doing certain types of presentations and when we talk to the COG, or doing something very regional, that we could highlight that, hey, you know, West Basin is spending X dollars in the local economy, you know, and we've gone out of our way to make sure that organizations know about how to do business with us. So I think that's an idea to how do we just promote that at some point, EJ? A longer term conversation, but I think that'd be a great idea.
And we'll continue to promote this. We'll make sure that we incorporate this into our talking points about what we do for our communities and really who West Basin is, giving back to the communities that we serve. So.
Yeah. So all that being said, I do also just want to echo what EJ said. Thank you to the staff, because, you know, you've gone out of your way. I know you're at a lot of the different fairs and other things. And also, you know, there's some people that it just doesn't apply. The work we do just doesn't apply to what they do, right? And I know, by the way, there's a lot of people also that just, they don't like working with public agencies because of the hurdles. I do get that. So we're glad for the ones that do participate. And I know EJ and Marianne, all of you all have been really helping to sign more people up to our bid system. And I think staff is reaching out accordingly when you're not getting participation. So anyways, so thank you for all of that. I just, you know, but I do want to give you my personal thoughts, you know, about still being realistic on, we're going to do the best we can do, you know. So thank you for that. Okay. Let's see, next item is 6B as in boy, Small and Community Bank Investment Program Review.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for this presentation, we have Sandra Ruiz, our accountant, excuse me.
Thank you, E.J. Good afternoon, Chairman Houston, members of the board and committee. My pleasure to present agenda item 6B as a boy, which begins on packet page 50. This is the Small and Community Bank Investment Program Review. The Small and Community Bank Investment Program was developed and a policy adopted with the purpose to invest funds in banks who in turn invest in our service area through loans and education, as well as engage and support community outreach events or activities. Beginning in 1999, West Basin initiated this program with one bank. Since then, West Basin has expanded the program to add additional banks and modified its policy to provide flexibility in the program and to enhance the reporting requirements. With that, we'll begin with attachment A, which is the presentation, which will go over the current banks and potential new banks to the program. Also, we included attachment B, which is the current policy for your reference. So with that, if I could ask you to turn to packet page 53, and we'll go over bank qualifications. Listed here are 3 avenues with which a bank may be eligible for the program. The first one is the small banks with asset size threshold levels as defined by the Community Reinvestment Act, or CRA, definition of a small institution. As of December 31st, 2023, the definition of a small institution is 1.5 billion. So that's changed from 2 years ago, which was 1.3. So the second bullet point is the community banks that meet certain criteria as stated within the policy, section 4-1.301B, which again, we attached attachment B for your reference. The third avenue is on a case-by-case basis. The board may choose to include financial institutions that exceed the small institution asset limit, but demonstrate significant contributions to the West Basin service area and community. If I could ask you to turn to the next page, we'll go over, as a reminder, the program investment dollar amounts. Outreach to banks who meet the spirit of small and community bank just wanted to reiterate that. So the second bullet point, initial investments for new banks are up to the FDIC limit of $250,000 and may extend up to $1.5 million. Funding for this program shall not exceed $7 million of West Basin's total portfolio. And these were staff recommendations that were brought to you last year and adopted into the policy. The next page will go over the annual reporting aspect of the policy. Participating banks with investments greater than $1 million must make an annual presentation to the board to share banks' community involvement, CRA rating, and loan investment in service area. As you recall, in August, we had Sasha with Malaga Bank come in, and this is what she presented to the board. The second would be participating banks with investments equal to or less than 1 million shall provide no more than a 2-page written summary of their community involvement and will not be required to make an annual presentation. Currently, City First Broadway Federal is that bank, and they are mentioned further in the presentation. Last point, on an annual basis, staff will present all community involvement reports received in the last 12 months. So if I could ask you to turn to packet page 57, we will just go over the current program, and we have 2 banks participating currently. The first one is City First, or Broadway Federal, which currently has $1 million. Of that, $750,000 is invested in IntraFi with a 4% interest rate. $250,000 is in a CD at a 4% interest rate. The next would be Malaga, which we have $1.25 million invested in, $1 million in the IntraFi at 3.75, and $250,000 in a CD at 4.5.
I just wanted to add to that there, if I could, Sandra.
Yes.
So IntraFi, just as a reminder, allows us to invest more than the FDIC limit, which is currently $250,000, as Sandra mentioned. And that way it makes it a little easier for us. We don't have to go through many banks. We're working with one bank. It also keeps the money local and it provides safety to the district. So we do like this program. That's one of the reasons we do look for banks that have that option.
If we could turn to packet page 58, and we'll go over some highlights with City First Broadway Federal Bank. They've been a participant since 1999. They're an IntraFi network participant, currently have $1 million. And their last updated CRA rating from 2022 is outstanding for a small bank. The next slide shows the community involvement for City First. Some of the 2022 accomplishments that they let us know were they provided more than 30 hours teaching financial literacy to low-income schools in LA County, so participated in summer youth programs through the city of Los Angeles, teaching financial literacy youth to 16 to 24-year-olds. And the last point, they merged, as you recall, it was initially Broadway Federal, which merged with City First, and they became the first Black-led minority depository institution. And so we just wanted to point that out. Then moving on to the next packet, page 60, it's Malaga Bank. They've been a participant since 2014, IntraFi network participant, current investment at 1.25, and their CR rating from 2021 as an outstanding for intermediate small bank. And then, so that concludes our current bank participation. So if I could ask you to turn to packet page 62, we'll go over potential new factors that we looked into when reaching out to new banks. One of them, but banks with asset size less than 20 billion, CR ratings of satisfactory or outstanding. As Marianne mentioned the IntraFi participant, and those that were interested in participating in the program. So the next packet page will go over farmers and merchants. Farmers or merchants is a CR rating of outstanding. I'm sorry. They're founded in 1907. 26 branches, Redondo Beach, Rolling Hills Estates are some that are located in our service area. They have a CRA rating from 2022 of outstanding. When we spoke to them, we were talking of initial investment of 245, again, keeping within the FDIC limit. The term at that point was 4%. I'm sorry, the rate was 4% and the term was 12%.
Months.
12 months. Too many numbers. The next page would be their community involvement that they let us know. So they had over 145 employee volunteers, partnership with Habitat for Humanity of Greater LA to finance 6 first-time homeowners. They've awarded $92,000 in scholarship to undergraduates majoring in accounting or finance at California State University since 2024. The next bank that we reached out to, it was on packet page 65, is First Bank. First Bank was founded in 1906 and has a presence in California since 1995. They're Their local locations are Gardena and Torrance. They have a CR rating of satisfactory, again, potential investment of $245,000, the interest rate at 4%, and a term of 12 months. Next page would show their community involvement. Performed over 2,000 hours of volunteer work in the community, and they are members of the Gardena Police Foundation and the Gardena Chamber of Commerce. The next bank on packet page 67 is First Foundation Bank, founded in 1990, 19 branches across California, including El Segundo, PV Estates, and Rolling Hill Estates. Their CR rating is satisfactory, potential investment of $245,000, interest rate at 4%, and they're floating a term of 13 months. The next page would show their community involvement. Provided financial literacy education to students in Los Angeles, supported the mobile food pantry in conjunction with the NAACP, provided volunteer income tax assistance services through the United Way. And with that, I will turn it over to Mary Ann to conclude the presentation.
Thank you, Sandra. Good morning, directors. I just wanted to bring your attention to the policy where it does require that you as a board has the opportunity to review the community involvement of any of the new banks. So as you saw from the presentation, we have 3 banks that were interested in the program. We are suggesting an investment of $245,000, so we stay within the FDIC protection of the insurance. Of course, as a new bank, I want to make sure I get your feedback and direction if that's something that you would like me to move forward with. It does say in the policy that after the review, I do have the ability to negotiate those terms. We did share the terms at the time that we were speaking to them, but it's been maybe 2 months or so since we started our negotiations and talking to them. So those rates are, I'll say, to be determined. But again, I would love to have your feedback as far as your interest in these banks and some direction so that I can move forward or not, whatever your pleasure is.
Very good. Well, let me ask the question. If it's the committee, or do you have to hear from the full board to give you the direction? How does that work?
So we would obviously take your input today, understanding that the full board is not here today, and then we could discuss this again with the full board.
I would appreciate that. And I think these banks too, 2 of them have expressed an interest of seeing that the board has made that approval. So that would be helpful too.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm going to open it up. Do you have questions, comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
comment. I think we ought to do a site visit for the new banks, folks who want to come on board, to go see just how do they maintain their facilities and see how serious they are in how professional they are. One way to do that is to check out their homes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we ought to do that. So I'm depending when that is, I can be part of that visit. I'd like to be, and I think we ought to for us that we should have a kind of a checklist of what are we looking for when we go out there and to see if that is there. You know, that's what I would suggest.
Let's see, Director Gray, did you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I did notice that we have a member of the public that is in the back of the room. I don't know if we want to afford, I assume he's obviously here to talk about this specific item. Perhaps we could allow him what we would typically allow. If the committee would like to extend the time, we typically allow 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I apologize. My first meeting here.
Oh, it's okay. Why don't you, where's the best place for him?
Probably the corner seat right here, because that way we can pick him up on the microphone.
Thank you. Microphones in the ceiling, so yes, we can hear you.
I'm a banker. And my bank would be interested in participating in your program, having an opportunity.
Which bank are you with? I'm sorry.
Pacific Premier Bank.
Oh, okay.
I personally get involved quite a bit in community events. We do a lot of financial training and so forth like that to the public. So I don't know if is it closed? Or do we still have an opportunity to?
Yes. And I did reach out to your bank. It's interesting. So I'm glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, great. Thank
Well,
you.
is she the person I'm follow up with? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let me ask a question on these. Mary Ann, thank you very much. It's quite thorough, but what's the difference on the CRA rating when someone comes in outstanding versus satisfactory?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really down to what their involvement in the community, how much they're giving in loans, what loans they're giving to. Is it going to be the more lower income versus business? So there's a number of, I'll say, parameters that are reviewed when they do this analysis. I could probably give you more information at a later point so we can break it down. But I do know it comes down to a review that's done every couple of years, and those reviews can take some time, but they do focus in on what programs and loans and so forth they provide within the community.
Okay, so, and I do see, like, for example, First Bank CRA rating was from 2018, so it's older versus some of them are a little newer.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. As Sandra did reach out to them, and they are in the middle of their review right now. Apparently, there is a bit of a backup. Apparently, what's that?
The Fed.
With the Fed, thank you. And they expect to have their updated report early 2024.
So when we hear the word satisfactory, it should not concern us as to the stability of the bank.
No, again, that is reflective of their community involvement, not as far as the strength of the bank.
Got it. Okay, so I heard what Director Williams said. So of course, if we were to potentially authorize looking at moving forward, although we probably do this as a piece of that authorization, would be if some directors and staff want to visit the banks in person, that might be part of consideration. It just, that's his ask, if you will.
Arrange that.
So I think that when we get this to the next stage, would probably be part of it for those who want to do that. Certainly, I know of these three banks you included, and Pacific Premier Bank, I've heard of you all too. And I mean, obviously, you'll follow up and see if they meet potential criteria. And then the other thing is, again, now even in here, you had on that last slide of potentially investing, let's say right now, in all three of these banks at that level.
That's what the board gives direction. That's what we will do.
Now, on the other side of the coin, is there a reason where we may not want to put money out into some of these other banks, but rather keep it in other accounts for various reasons? I mean, Mary Ann, what is your take on that?
Well, if you're going to look at the interest rate, we are getting more than 5% in the California class. But again, you know, the spirit of the program is that we're looking to invest in our local community and our service area, and these banks do that. And so that's one of the reasons why we chose them. And they are local, and they do have satisfactory or outstanding CRAs. And so, and they're offering a reasonable rate. You know, it isn't the 5%, but as we've known in the past, talking to these banks, they don't necessarily move as fast as the Fed does. And so their rates tend to lag behind what we're seeing at the Fed, which is between 5 and 5.25 is the overnight rate currently.
Okay, so here's my thought, sort of how to do this as the chair, and I completely agree with Director Williams. I think that's a great idea, you know, that if we were to decide to move forward, that perhaps some visits could be arranged. In the interest of time, because you had the three banks here, but now we have a fourth bank that's interested, so you're going to have to talk to them. And I don't know if this is something that needs to be teed up so quick as for Monday's meeting, but what's the time frame to bring this back and then bring it to the full board to give you all direction.
There isn't a rush. We've been talking to them for a number of months. We had a pause when we had a couple banks that, as you remember, went into, they collapsed, with Signature Bank and Silicon Valley. So we've been talking to them for quite some time. They're not in a rush. We're not in a rush. We just want to make sure we do our due diligence. And if part of it is meaning that, we need to go and visit with them, we're happy to do so. So it's really the pleasure of the board.
So, although I think if we even authorized you to, like we're getting very serious with these banks, rather than just, here's my point. I think that it'd be great, let's suppose we said, yeah, let's talk to 3 or the 4 banks, we're serious and we want to do those visits, but I don't really want to go through the visits and not be serious in negotiations with them. So I think what I'd like to do would be, we need to get to a point where we're saying, yes, go forward with that step, which seems like you need to talk to one more bank and maybe circle back with the current ones and see what all the rates are and come back to us. Then it goes to full board. And then the next step is going to be, okay, yeah, we're going to have now talk or negotiation and people want to do site visits and then go from there. Doesn't that seems the way. What I don't want to do is go waste anyone's time. So it seems like, you got to do one more step here before we go to full board and then pull in. Okay, we're going to go talk to 3 banks or 4 banks.
Just to be clear, so you would like me to reach out to each of the banks, get an update as far as the rates that they're offering, come back and report that, including Pacific Premier Bank, and then based on that information, then we can determine the site visits.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that'd be great. So maybe if you, by the next month's FNA meeting, we could get the updated data and the additional bank. And anybody else that you just happen to find, I don't know, but so then we can say, okay, let's talk about that, move it to the full board, and then we'll keep the list, we'll narrow the list, whatever, and then put that into the package for authorization, and then we can do like site visits. Let's not waste anyone's time if at the end we say we're only going to look at 1 bank versus 4 banks, etc. Right? So. Because don't get me wrong, I think the full board will want to opine and give you all directions. Because now, you're obviously asking, a fair amount of money potentially being put into these other banks. And so we want to hear your good advice, okay? So does that seem reasonable, Director Williams?
Does to me.
All right, so does that work, Marianne?
Thank you very much.
I'll just add some more to your plate. And maybe these numbers have fluctuated a hair, I don't know, with all the economic stuff. So, all right, that sounds good. So thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're on the last item, right, DJ?
That is correct.
So 6C is in cat, our monthly financial report on the information calendar.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For this last item, again, we have Sandra Ruiz, West Basin Accountant, for the presentation.
Thank you. If I could ask you to turn to packet page 74, we will review agenda item 6C, the monthly financial report. As required by West Basin's administrative code, staff is required to submit various financial reports to the board of directors to keep them apprised of the financial condition and future needs of the district. With that, if I could ask you to turn to packet page 76, we will begin with item number 6CA, the demands list for the period ending September 30th, 2023. This report concludes on page 82. You will see the total amount disbursements for the month was 16.2, almost 16.3 million. Of that, the Metropolitan Water bill for July 2023 was 12.4, which constitute about 75% of total spend for the month. When compared to last month, this disbursement was 2.7 less than last month. So other than the Met bill, we didn't notice anything of note for the demands list for the month. And with that, I'll pause if you have any questions.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay.
So the next item, beginning on packet page 83, is item 6CB, which is the West Basin Cash and Investment Report. Total market value for the month was $69 million, which was 2.2 million more when compared to last month, and that ties in with the demand list being less as well. To the right of that is the pie graph, which lists out the investments and the percentages of each category. The investment pool making up 34.4% and U.S. Treasuries making up 2.4%. The next page is a bar graph with the credit quality distribution for the month. You will see that over 40% of our investments are rating AAA or above, or A and AA and AAA. As a reminder, you will see the NR not rated investments, which includes LAIF, money markets, bank accounts, and the CDs, those which are not rated. The next page would be the maturity distribution bar graph. The portfolio continues to be highly liquid, with the majority of the investments less than a year. The next page, packet page 86, is the transaction ledger for the month. All the buys and sells and maturities for the month. We did have one maturity, and that was at $950,000. Other than that, there wasn't much activity for the month. The next few pages, beginning on packet page 87 and concluding, on packet page 94, lists all the investments, the description, par values, purchase dates, maturity dates in the portfolio. On packet page 95 is the glossary terms, and last page of this particular item, packet page 98, is important disclosures. And with that, I'll pause if you have any questions.
Questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Next item, beginning on packet page 99, is item 6C, which is the monthly water sales reports. And we will begin with imported retail. You will see for the month, 7,719 acre feet were sold in potable water. This is down from last year and from the budgeted numbers. Taking a look at the temperature for the month, it was about 10 degrees lower than over last year, so that may have accounted for some of the less usage. We still believe the messaging is going out. People are using less, turf replacement, things like that. The next graph is the imported barrier, and you will also see that it's at 474 acre feet. Of that, 260 was ejected into the West Coast barrier. The next page, packet page 100, is the recycled water. For the month, we sold 2,802 acre feet. And then the table below lists out the breakdown. Barrier is at 816, refineries are at 1,630, and disinfection tertiary Title 22 is at 356 acre feet. And other than that, I'll pause now if you have any questions about the water sales report.
Questions?
No, thank you.
Actually, I have more of a generic question. So, the water quality coming out of Hyperion, EJ, is that still up and down right now?
That is correct.
We'll talk about this at ENO more so, but what can you tell us high level?
Well, we do have it in our ENO committee. When we did the review of it, I did notice that of late, we still have had that volatility. Fluctuations actually a little bit worse than it was even last year. And I know that we have Barkev Masurlian, our executive manager, operations and engineering. I don't know if you recall kind of that graph, but there was a lot of.
I want to say a few weeks back, we did have a slight upset and that volatility that EJ mentions, and that was in relation to some piece of equipment going down on their solids handling side of things. But we're happy to know that we handled it well, and we shut down Bear for a period of time. So to prevent, to minimize the impact on our membranes. So there is some volatility, but I think we're reacting to it pretty well.
So, in the big picture, we're still not though at the level we were at before the major spill or upset, right?
There's a graph, the first attachment on the operations update that you'll see today. You will see the timeline between the original upset in 2021, the turbidity levels going up, and you will see 2 or 3 more times where it has gone up. But on average, even the low side of it is still higher than what we have experienced in the past. So that's absolutely true.
And I think one final question on that though is, do we have an idea of when we would get back to where we were? I mean, I know there's been a lot of work on that facility, but are we talking another year or more? Does anyone have a guesstimate?
It's a good question. We know that Hyperion will be conducting a lot of cleaning activities on their primary system, primary treatment system, up until the end of the year. And this was according to a meeting we had with them a couple months ago. So not sure if that schedule is still standing or if there's a little bit of delays. But we envisioned at the time, they envisioned at the time that those cleaning activities will go through December. Those would have an impact. And we should see some leveling down after that. However, one of the other efforts that they're going through is, those solids handling, the solids digesters that they have over there. They have, I think, 20 of them. Those keep on having issues, and they have a big capital projects to address that, but it's 1 or 2 years away or something like that for them to even, go through a construction phase and address that. They have mixers for the digesters that they need to replace. So every time something happens with a digester, unfortunately, we're going to see something happen. So long-winded answer, the short answer is, I think some improvement by the end of the year, but also knowing that there are some other stuff that could happen for the next 2 to 3 years that we should be ready for.
Okay. Got it. And that's what I kind of wanted to understand, because obviously we're not selling as much of the recycled water as we could because of those challenges, which also means we're having to utilize potable, right? So obviously the public has to understand that too. We're still not to where we were in the past.
In addition, we always have to remember that the condition of the water that we get, vastly different than what a lot of our systems were designed for 30 years ago or 25 to 30 years ago. Primarily because of conservation or side effect of conservation, right? Yeah. The water coming in is just denser with solids, and so is the water coming out. And so if you just look at the water quality from 25 years ago and the water quality now, you can see the uptick over the years. And that's not just, it's not going to change. It might just actually get a little bit worse with further conservation. Sure. So our systems, and looking into the futures, we will look at how our systems should adapt or be redesigned or upgraded to meet those new parameters.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect. And thank you. Those are the questions that we have to make sure people understand. There's parts of it that are out of our own control, and then there's the parts that's just the changing nature of our industry. So thank you, Barton. Okay. Any other questions, Director Wayne?
No, those were good. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Go ahead.
And the final 2 items, item 6CD on packet page 101 is the Director's Conference and Travel Expense Report through September 2023. And then finally, the last item, 6CE, is Executive Management and Staff Travel Expense Report through September 2023. And with that concludes the monthly. reports. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any questions? Wait.
No, thank you. I just like to say that they cannot, no one can accuse us of gallivanting around.
Let's see. I have no other questions, so thank you for that. Director Gray, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Closed session. We have no closed session.
That is correct. No closed session.
So let's see, director's comments for future agenda items. I'll start with Director Williams.
No, thank you.
Director Gray.
I'm here. Yes.
Any questions or comments for future agenda items?
No, but again, I want to thank staff for all the presentations, but thank you very much, Chair. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Director Gray. And I would just echo exactly what Director Gray said. Thank you, staff. I think, we did a nice kind of expedited meeting today, but I got some good reports and information. We got good feedback. Thank you for all the work. I know we have, a PI meeting tomorrow, I believe, correct, EJ?
Correct.
I also know tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, is Imagine a Day Without Water, I believe. So if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but I believe that's the day. So make sure that we're talking about that, I hope, tomorrow. And with that, our next meeting is scheduled for November 15th of 2023, and we are adjourned.